On a dark and gloomy day, Khaled, a 17-year-old boy, stood in front of the entrance to the abandoned cave, holding a small lamp in his hand and his heart full of curiosity. The cave was covered in fog, and the sound of the wind was playing a frightening tune. Khaled kept wondering about the legends he had heard about this place, where it was said that the cave was full of monsters and giant worms. He carefully stepped inside, and immediately, darkness swallowed him. As Khaled walked through the cave's branching corridors, he felt something moving under his feet. He bent down to take a look, and suddenly he saw a huge worm, 2 meters long, slowly writhing on the ground. Khaled raised his lamp to shine light on the place, and he found that the giant worms covered every inch of the ground, as if the cave was pulsing with its own life. He froze in place for a moment, but he realized that there was no way back now. A mysterious voice began to rise from the depths of the cave, the sound of strange whispers in a language he had never heard before. Khaled wondered if this voice was calling him or warning him. He advanced slowly, and the deeper he went, the more distinct the whispers became, as if some creature was waiting for him. Khaled reached a large hall, and there, in the middle of that hall, stood a huge creature. Its upper half resembling a human, but covered in black scales, and its lower half was dozens of snakes writhing in a terrifying manner. It was a majestic beast, and it looked at Khaled with glowing eyes. Khaled screamed and raised his flashlight, but the beast rushed towards him quickly. Khaled took out his dagger and began to confront the beast. The snakes were attacking him from every direction, but he was able to dodge them skillfully. With a sudden blow, Khaled stabbed the dagger into the beast's chest, and it let out a loud scream that echoed throughout the cave before collapsing as a lifeless body on the ground. After catching his breath, Khaled found himself at a crossroads. Every path was twisting like a snake, and he did not know which one to take. He decided to choose the path that emitted a dim light, hoping that this light might be a sign of an exit or something else. As he was walking in the narrow corridor, he felt a quick movement behind him. He turned to find a swarm of giant worms pouncing on him. They were huge worms, with mouths full of sharp teeth, advancing towards him at a terrifying speed. Khaled rushed at full speed, trying to jump over rocks and swerve to avoid their deadly jaws. Khaled found a large stone gate at the end of the corridor. He quickly opened it and entered, finding himself in a circular room. The walls were covered with strange engravings and ancient symbols. He felt that this room was hiding something important. In the middle of the room, Khaled found a strange wooden box. As he approached it, the box slowly opened, releasing a cloud of dancing shadows. Suddenly, these shadows began to transform into small creatures, similar to jinn, attacking him from every direction. Khaled fought these creatures, but it seemed as if every time he killed one, another appeared in its place. Khaled noticed that the inscriptions on the walls glowed as the number of creatures decreased. He pulled himself to the wall and began to touch the inscriptions with his fingers. Suddenly, the inscriptions merged to form a mysterious map. The map indicated a path leading to a large hall deep in the cave, where the greatest secrets of the place lie. When Khaled arrived at the aforementioned hall, he found a huge monster with 7 eyes randomly distributed on its head, and its body was covered with sharp nails. While Khaled was trying to escape from the monster, he met a strange person wearing a black cloak, revealing his scarred face. Khaled recognized this person. It was his old friend Ali, who had gone missing many years ago. Ali told him that he had been trapped in this cave and that the monsters had taken him prisoner. Ali told Khaled that the cave was not just a deserted place, but rather an entrance to another world, where dark creatures were living, trying to infiltrate the human world. And that the 7-eyed monster was the gatekeeper, and if he was not eliminated, he would open the gate wide. Ali led Khaled to a secret room, where he found an ancient sword, pulsing with a strange energy. Ollie told him. This sword is made from the blood of ancient monsters, and it is the only weapon capable of destroying the guard. Khaled took the sword, felt the power flowing through his body, and headed straight to confront the monster. Khaled returned to the large hall and found the monster waiting for him, more enraged than before. The battle began. The monster was moving at an unexpected speed, and its claws were striking with tremendous force. However, Khaled, with his patience and courage, was able to plunge the sword into the heart of the monster. The monster screamed in pain and began to slowly collapse. After the monster fell, the cave began to shake, and a huge gate opened in the back wall of the hall, revealing a world filled with strange monsters. Khaled realized that this was the gate that the guard was guarding. Khaled and Ollie stood in front of the gate. Ollie said, "If you close this gate, I won't be able to return with you. I will stay here forever." Khaled had a difficult decision to make. Khaled hesitated for a moment, but he knew that the gate had to close. As Khaled struggled with the monsters, a massive creature emerged from the portal, larger than any monster he had ever seen before. It resembled a giant scorpion with black wings and glowing red eyes. Khaled realized that it was the Queen, the monster that controlled all creatures in this world. The Queen lunged at Khaled, her claws fiercely striking the ground. Khaled could barely dodge her blows. He tried to plunge the sword into her body, but the hard armor covering her easily deflected the blows. He felt that his strength was failing him, and that he might not be able to hold on. At a crucial moment, Ollie pounced from behind on the Queen and struck her with an ancient sword he had with him. The Queen screamed in intense pain and turned towards Ollie. Ollie shouted to Khaled, "Now, hit her where she is weak." Khaled jumped with all his strength and plunged the sword into the Queen's back, in the area that Ollie had exposed. The Queen began to writhe and scream, and strange lights emanated from her body. A powerful energy exploded, and the Queen's body slowly began to fade away, as if she was melting into thin air. She collapsed to the ground, and all traces of her disappeared. As the Queen fell, the gate began to close faster. Khaled felt relieved, but he looked at Ollie, who was standing next to the gate. Ollie said to him, "This is goodbye, my friend. Take care of the world out there." Khaled smiled and nodded. As the gate closed, Ollie disappeared with the last light that emanated from it. After the gate was completely closed, Khaled felt that the air had become purer. The cave had returned to its dark nature, and there was no trace of monsters or giant worms. He continued his way through the long corridors, remembering everything that had happened, and excited to see daylight again. After hours of continuous walking, Khaled finally reached the entrance of the cave. The sunlight was seeping in from outside, and as soon as he stepped out, he felt the cold air touch his face. He took a deep breath and felt a freedom that he had never felt before. Many of them did not believe him, but they saw wisdom and courage in his eyes. Khaled became a hero, not only because he fought the monsters, but because he faced his fears and overcame them. He kept remembering his friend Ollie and promised himself that he would honor his memory and that he would never forget the sacrifices he made for everyone's safety. Now, Khaled began thinking about his next adventure, certain that the world was still full of secrets to be revealed and monsters to be defeated.